when we talk about the Gilded Age, we had the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, and so on and so forth. And they actually left a lot of great art institutions. I'm having a hard time sort of pointing out what our current billionaires are doing with their money to help fund, I think, the next vanguard. Because
that's why I love the Sacklers. That's why they're my favorite. I think those are the good billionaires, the honest, the generous, noblesse oblige.
But you got me there.
No, but I know what you mean, and the Cokes too, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think you're talking about tech billionaires are completely disinterested. Well, I was thinking about
Sam Altman's trying to make art more accessible.
Oh yeah, that's what they always try to do. But look at the work that Zuckerberg got commissioned for his wife. Daniel Arsham.
Oh, I thought you were talking about David Cho and that mural.
No, I mean that's it's the most.
You don't like Daniel Arsham? You wouldn't get a statue of your wife?
He has a. I don't want my sculpture doing bathtub collabs. But yeah, why do you think the tech billionaire class is not as engaged in the arts?
Oh, they're a bunch of Philistines. That's why.
No, the opposite.
So I am. I don't know, actually. So, I mean, the obvious answer is that we've changed education, specifically high education, in a way that people don't have we call like a cursus classicum, which means that people are not sort of reared on the same great Western aesthetic ideals. And so you come out of university and you can't tell Monet from Manet, and like that's, to me, that's a great tragedy. But I think in service of at least companies, it's really helpful to have a bunch of people who just want to work and just want to do engineering and whatnot. But I think at scale, it really leads to, I think, the word in French is appauvrissement, like the whole the culture is poorer by the lack of cultivation of the audience, right? So we've forgotten to cultivate audiences is what's happening. So I think it's fine to study engineering. I studied business actually in school. And so I think it's totally fine. But I think we should, even at that time, whether it be like through theater clubs in university or art clubs, cultivate audiences. And it seems like besides maybe video games, a lot of my friends in tech and in SF are not interested in being an audience to a culture that is not about them. Right?
Well, so how do you explain run clubs then? And and bouldering gyms? They're thriving, baby.
They are. I mean, I think that the thing about the activities or hobbies is that they put you at the center.
Because they're about health. They're still like about body optimization as opposed to, I guess, like nourishment.
So when I'm in front of the painting over there, maybe in this room, I need to accept that I am not the center of the activity, right? I need to understand something else, right? I'm not optimizing myself. I'm not trying to. There's no sort of clear metric around it. Either I like the painting or I don't like the painting. I try to articulate it, but there's nothing like. When you run, you can beat your time. When you're climbing, you can you can do the different colors and get better.
Yeah.
You can definitely become a better art watcher and an audience member at a ballet. But
I was going to say you could impress some art hoes with the cultivation of that knowledge.
Sorry, that seems like a good reason. That seems like a good reason to. I wonder if the relationship to art and creativity for people in tech is much more about creating new modes of production and at faster speeds than the thing itself. So when they're interested in art, it's NFTs or it's in AI, and the object that's created or the thing that's created itself is not particularly interesting, or it's just the manner in which it's created is what's interested to them, and its ability to be traded as a commodity. So, Jeff Bezos wasn't interested in Amazon, in books, per se. He just saw it as a widget, as opposed to like an art object. And I think that just extends further on to like what people like about Beeple or whatever internet art generally, and why it's so whack, I would say, politely.
But it's just easier to make money and profit off of something that has a tangible value add. Whereas like art it's so abstract.
And I think it doesn't make necessarily, like, I think a lot of my friends, they tend to be quite rational. And so a big part of enjoying art is to sort of letting go of that sort of clear-cut rationality and letting yourself sort of be swayed by subjective, purely aesthetic or sensual experience. And I think that's kind of hard for that audience that's been reared very much in the STEM, in sort of very, very rational mindsets.
There's an answer.
Exactly. And there's not always an answer, and that's kind of difficult. I was talking to my friend Kalani Nicole, who runs the Great Transfer Gallery. They've been around for 10 years, and they were stationed in San Francisco for a long time. And I remember asking her, like, why is it that people have so much money there and they're still not getting into art? And she was like, they're just not that interested. It doesn't really speak to them culturally. And there's a sense in which the next generation maybe will go and maybe they're looking at something completely different that is going to mean something to them. Or that be, I'm talking about video games, maybe like, maybe the Mona Lisa won't mean nothing to Gen Alpha or something. Maybe they're going to be completely severed from the ties of, the great Western canon. But I think my hypothesis is that it actually has more to do with sort of intra-elite competition. Meaning tech wealth is in competition with, say, let's call it sort of political capital in Washington and with sort of financial capital in New York. And a lot of the folks who've been funding the arts, I think, are in sort of the Washington, maybe a lot of the LA, sort of the arts, Hollywood capital, and a lot of the political capital in DC. And tech was very, as an underdog, at least until the turn of the millennium, was very interested in building their own institutions, their own systems of value. Because you're at the complete other coast. You have this sort of brand new technology. So what does it mean to create a ground up new system of value? And you see this even in the beliefs. To me, this sort of penchant for rationality, for, they have the quirks like the ayahuasca trips, Burning Man.
Yeah.
These are all sort of SF specific institutions.
That does make sense. Like even the verb disruption is like synonymous with tech. Yeah.
And so why would they go to the old dusty museums when they can quote unquote build their own? And I think the NFTs was maybe an attempt at that.
And we all saw how that turned out.
As it happens, it's very hard to build institutions. You can't just do it from like first principles or whatever.
Okay, that was Middlebrow.